The July raid Holdfast is 2 days away, so I figured I should go over my Mutineer build. Hey everyone, Derpy here, and welcome back to another Battle Pirates video. I'm going to start by going over my ship build for a standard ship, and then talk about my variations and how I have built ships 1 through 5, and then talk about upgrades and maybe some crews at the end, so let's go ahead and get started. First of all, my normal build that I think everything else is sort of based off of. I'm going to go in the refit mode so you can see this a little bit more clearly. Let's quickly explain the special so you know what they're on there and what they're doing and what you could use instead, for example. This first one is the Reef Rider engine. Other people sometimes like running the Old Glory engine because it does add a tiny bit more explosive survival and 3200 concussive survival, as well as 5% evade, and it does, however, lose the concussive damage, which is one of the reasons I really like this one. If you wanted to run with the Old Glory engine on, say, ships 1 and 5, or even all 5 of them, you wouldn't be wrong. I just like this one. I didn't get any of the Old Glory. I don't think it's worth it for the Forsaken mission points. As a backup, you can always use something like the Sync Drives, or even Speed System 6 if you really wanted to. The next special is one that sort of works well with other critical specials and is essentially a Skirmish Battery 2, so use Skirmish Battery or something similar, Concussive Battery if you don't have this one. This adds concussive damage as well as depth charge chance, which does synergize nicely with the next special that I'll talk about. This is the Full Metal Casing, adds a bunch of criticals for depth charges, which is what your weapons are. If you don't have this, you can use Hydro Explosive Casing or even PBX Payload. This is another great special to add damage. This next one, the Liberty Belt, is something that adds concussive reload and concussive damage. It is essentially an Advanced Concussive System 4. If you don't have this, use Advanced Concussive System 3. The next special here is the Signal Amplification Armor. What this does is it does add countermeasure range, which is sort of nice, although really doesn't do much to your ships to make them perform better. And this helps out the anti-torpedoes that you have on your ships. But more importantly, this does have 9,600 concussive and explosive survival, which does make a significant difference at U0 or U1, although if you get to U2 and to X1, if those upgrades have survival, it won't be quite as effective here. The last special is one that I debated for a little while, and I've gone with Guidance Scrambler 3. Now, there are a couple options you could have gone here. First one is Guidance Scrambler 3, 49.5% evade. The second one that people are running, and I have no idea why, is the Agility System 4. This adds the same exact evade, and it also adds slow and stun resistance. Stun resistance only helps against stuns from, say, pinches or other stun effects, which we don't see in these targets, as slow resistance only helps when a weapon directly hits your hull and slows it down. It does not help against big ice fields or other tactical fields. You need tactical field resistance for that. So that's why I've gone with Agility System. Well, that's why I'm not going with Agility System 3. Some people do want to go for Hyper 30. This does add basically 0 splash damage reduction. 540 is so little, shouldn't even be on the blueprint. Evade bonus 30% instead of 49.5, so there's a little bit of a trade-off. And it does give you some bonus combat speed. I don't think that the targets will necessarily be tuned for this combat speed, and I will have 4 ships at U1, which does add combat speed to my fleet anyway, so I don't see a need for me personally using this. But if you have a U0 fleet, it might be worth it to go for this one. I'm not going to be upset at you if you go for this one. You just need to make sure if you do add combat speed to one ship, you need to have it on all 5 ships with Hyper 30. I did also somewhat recommend that people go for something like Explosive System 4 on their fleet. Now, we've come to realize this is probably not the best option because of a few reasons. The first reason is that the benefit you were getting from it, the projectile speed, is already given to your fleet based on the flag aura that's just built into that one, which is something that I had no idea about at that time, so Explosive System 4 probably not the best one to go. It also does make your spread smaller, which I originally thought was a good thing, although if you look at a slightly more advanced way to kill the targets, may actually not be the best way to go. So if you want Explosive System 4 on the middle 3 ships, you're not going to do horribly. I just think Guidance Scrambler 3 is better. As far as armors, the armors that I've gone for is I have gone for the new ones on this one, 3 concussive and 1 explosive, because we were taking much more concussive damage in these targets. In fact, the auto target will probably only be concussive damage, and these things are pretty nice. They do add a decent amount of concussive survival as well as concussive damage, so if you're building a damage-focused ship, probably use these things. As far as weapons, I've obviously gone for the Freedom Fist Gatling gun. This is the better version. It's limited, 20% better than the regular drumroll Gatling gun. I do have one Cormorant anti-torpedo on this ship. If you're building all 5 ships the same as this one, just go for this build and try to get it up to, say, U2. This will do fairly well. Now, there are things that you can do better than this one, and let's go ahead and take a look at some of my holes. What I've noticed in these targets is that the enemy torpedoes from the Typhoons tend to target ships 1 and 5. They do not only target ships 1 and 5, but they probably hit it 2, 3, 4 times as much as ships 2, 3, and 4. So 1 and 5 get hit the most. For that reason, I built 1 and 5 more like this, where these are focused on more of an evade build. What you'll notice here is that the armors are really the only big difference here. Instead of using the new concussive armor, I've gone for the old ones. Now this does reduce your survival by a small amount, but it does add 10% evade for each plate, and you do lose that 2% damage bonus. This brings my evade up much higher, which is really nice because again these ships tend to be targeted by torpedoes, 72% evade with really not a whole lot of downside. I'm still using 1 explosive plate just in case I do take extra explosive damage from somewhere, want to auto with these things, bring it into the old targets, whatever. You could go whatever you wanted on this last plate, I won't be upset at anyone anyway. I have also gone for 2 cormorants on this ship so I can put move one of my Freedom Fist Gatling guns over to another ship that has more damage. Let's talk about that damage ship now. Ship number 3 in my fleet, actually number 4 in my fleet right now, is built up as a damage ship. I would try and put up another couple ships that way. This one unfortunately doesn't have any armor. I still have 2 days left to the raid, so I might have time to add that. I will add 3 of the concussive armor plates, the new ones that add 2% damage. This is a damage-focused ship, and I've moved my cormorant again from this one onto ship number 5, so I can take more advantage of the damage on this thing. Notice the damage 3.5 million, which will be up to about 3.7 million with all 3 armors, is much better than what I am getting on the other ships. So this is my plan for sort of the middle 3 ships, is focused mainly on damage, pretty much all Freedom Fist Gatling guns. Now let's just sort of show you all 5 of my ship builds. Ship number 1 here is the Flagship. Again, this is built as the evade tank version. You will notice I did not have enough of the Freedom Fist Gatling gun, so I do have some Dremel Gatling guns on here, and this does have the evade armor and 2 cormorants. Ship number 2 is fully done and fully armored. This one does have, let's see, this one is my standard build, which I showed you at the very beginning. It has 1 cormorant and the concussive armor, the newer concussive armor. Ship number 3 here is not fully finished. I will be finishing this one before the raid starts, at least mostly. I'm still missing 4 weapons as well as armor plates. I will build this one exactly like ship number 2. Ship number 4 here is the full damage version that I did show you, and this is, again, taking advantage of when I fit all concussive armor on here, deal more damage, is the plan for this one. And ship number 5 is the ship that is, again, built like an evade tank with more of the older armor on here, which is better for these tank ships. Now let's talk about upgrades. You'll notice that I have a couple ships at U1, a couple at U2, and 1 at U0. These first 2 ships here are up to U1, and these last 2 are up to U2. I did place high enough in pillage that I received 3 one-day Mutineer upgrade tokens, so I think I will use those on ship number 3 right here, because what the U3 upgrade does is it gets you up to concussive reload, which will help out on ships that have more damage anyway, so I'll be upgrading this one to U3. But first, you should always upgrade the last ship here up to U2, and the first ship, if you can. It does have different upgrade tokens, but you want to upgrade your 1st and 5th ship first, because they do add concussive survival and explosive survival when you get to U2. The concussive survival is very, very good against torpedoes, so try and upgrade your 1st and your 5th ships up to U2 if at all possible before the raid. And we will likely see upgrade and build tokens for the regular as well as the flagship versions of the Mutineer in the raid. I will make sure to put all of these build codes in the description so you have a full transparent view of what's going on. I will update these ones right here to be fully built versions of what I expect them to be. Now as far as crews, there's a couple things that you could go for here. Notice that this is a Forsaken ship, which means that the 1-star Salty Dog, which should be very, very easy to roll, will affect the crew, and you can use 1-star Salty Dogs to increase reload as well as turn speed. Don't use your 2-star Salty Dogs on those should be saved for the XP. You notice I have a whole bunch of them saved here, and what they do is, again, favorite ship is Forsaken, so they add 50% reload as well as a whole bunch of turn speed, which probably won't be that important in these targets, but the reload should be pretty nice. Other things you could go for are something like the Steelheads Never Hurt. Those will boost the concussive survival and explosive survival of your ships. At least I'm pretty sure they boost concussive. And something else like Deadeye Destroyer, something like that's never going to go wrong. And the 1-star Sea Serpents are also really good because they will boost evade, which should be fairly important. You could even go for something like Molotov Maidens or Hellfire Heathens to increase the splash damage if you are finding that effective and your ships aren't quite as good against drones. And obviously running Dispose of Skullduggery, Grease Monkey Crew, Siren Crew, all that stuff that you are going to have as really rare crews is going to be pretty helpful. So let me know what you think of my build here, what you've done differently, what you plan to do for the first raid, any changes you would make on my build. Also notice I'm not running any Gales because Gales didn't even fire a single shot in these targets whatsoever. I will be posting raid videos when the raid starts. And thank you everyone for watching. This is Derpy, signing out, helping you be a better pirate.